So this happened 7 months ago. I was visiting San Diego for job interviews and staying at my favorite hotel in Serrano Mesa. For background, I'm a 40-year-old man and I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'1" and a former strip club bouncer. Now, onto the weirdness. On my third night, I was up pretty late hanging out with some old friends after my interviews. I got back to the hotel around 2 a.m. with some Sunny's donuts. After eating a few, drinking a few more, and watching South Park post-COVID, I decided to smoke before I went to bed. This made it now around 3 a.m. So I go downstairs, walk out front to the smoking area by the fountain, but there's another couple who's also staying at the hotel already there. I didn't want to impose, so I decided to just walk around the outside parts of the hotel while I smoked. I walked around the pool, the barbecue area, the basketball courts, then started back for the side door. As I did, a black sedan drove up alongside me and stopped. The window rolled down, and a tiny Asian woman asked if I knew how to get out of the parking lot and back onto the street. Now, from where we were when she asked me, this was literally a straight line about 150 feet in front of her. So I thought she was drunk or just blind. So I politely said yes, just keep going straight and turn left at the tree. She then asked me if I could get in the car and show her. Now, again, I'm a former strip club bouncer, and this woman looked very much like a Walmart Ali Wong. There was absolutely no intimidation factor, but for some reason, I instantly felt uneasy. Again, it was literally right in front of her. She could see the road. Also, the windows were tinted far more than they should have been, and honestly, I couldn't tell if anyone else was in the car. I used the smoking as an excuse not to get in the car, but she said she didn't mind and gave me a very creepy smile. I politely declined again and pointed out that the road was literally right there, so I'd just be walking back in 5 seconds anyway. She asked me again if I would get in and show her. This was feeling like a weird kid ice cream truck situation. I mean, guys, how often do decently looking women just drive up to you and ask you to get in their car at 3 a.m. in a hotel parking lot? How often does anyone ask a big bearded guy to hop in their car under these circumstances? Nothing about this was right. Again, I politely declined as I finished my smoke and was luckily already standing right next to the hotel sliding door when all this started, so I just went in. The woman just drove off as she rolled up her window, right exactly to the exit she had asked me to show her. I told the front desk about it, and they said that they'll keep an eye out, but I'm quite sure nothing was ever done or came of it. Just one of those things that really makes me wonder, what the hell did she want me to get in her car so badly for? A pretty man I am not, so it had to be some kind of scam. I just wonder exactly how much danger I was in. It was about 10 p.m. and I was staying at a hotel in downtown Chicago, right by Lower Wacker Drive. I had just gotten an Uber Eats delivery because they weren't going to do room service because of COVID, potbellies, important later. I was listening to music, but I had my hood up because it was freezing. I was smoking and this guy walked up to me and asked me for a few cigarettes. I gave him one and my lighter to use. Come on, you can give me more than that. I thought if I just gave him another cigarette, he would leave me alone, so I gave him another one. I expected him to say thank you, give my lighter back, and leave. He didn't do any of those things. He was standing right in front of me, and I started to get anxious. I moved back, and I'm essentially against the window for the area where you check in. He just kept standing there, and then noticed my bag of food. Can you give me some of your food? I told him that I was sorry, but it was just a sandwich and soup because my husband ordered food from a different restaurant. Well, at least give me half of your sandwich then. I apologized again and said no. Then he started getting closer to me. I realized I needed to get away, but he was blocking me. Dude, give me my lighter back. I thought I needed to pretend that I wasn't freaking out. I put my cigarette out and put it back in the pack. I don't have any food, and I could freeze to death. I'm sorry you don't have any food. I don't know what else to say. I didn't want to say, hey, you're You're wearing a really nice looking coat and fancy sneakers. So give me some of your food then. He was right up in my face and I was scared because he seemed to be getting more angry. I'm sorry, I can't. Please move. Yes, you fucking can. At this point, I was terrified that he was gonna hit me or something, so I banged on the window, and the people from the check-in desk ignored me. He got really angry. What the fuck, bitch? Then, like a miracle, my mom called and I answered. I had my headphones on that he didn't see. I started crying hysterically and started saying, Mom, Mom, thank God. Oh my God, this guy won't leave me alone. My mom told me to do anything to get away. At that moment, the guy stepped back and looked around. There was no one around, but I took advantage of him being distracted and pushed past him and ran inside. I cried so hard I could barely get the words out. I was so scared, and I realized because I tried to get help and nothing happened, if my mom hadn't called me, I don't know what would have happened. Later, I thought even if I gave him the soup, it would have been like when I gave him the cigarette, and it wasn't enough. I did go back down for a cigarette later, but I stayed by the revolving door. This woman was also smoking, and I told her what happened. She showed me her mace and said that all women should have it. My mom passed away on February 13th, 2023. This happened a year or more before that. I'm a 23-year-old female. My best friend and I, 21 female, went to our hostel in Poland and could not get the door open even though we had the code. These two men that claimed that they were staying there offered to help us, but we could not get in until someone else came out of the building. At first, these guys were nice and helped us carry our luggage up the stairs to the hostel. Surprisingly, there was no one at the check-in desk, even though the owner specifically asked that we check in at this time. Because we already knew what room we were supposed to be in, the two guys helped show us to our room, and we all made pleasant introductions. They were 32 and 33, if I remember correctly, and we let them know our age. They left us to get settled. But we realized at this point that without being able to check in, we did not have the keys to enter the building or even lock our door. Now here's where things get weird. We were already feeling a bit sketched out about the situation, as it was clear that the hostel was just a converted apartment. But that's what you get for 10 euros a night, I guess. We then hear a brief knock at our door, and without waiting for a reply, these two dudes come back into our room to talk. I think. The younger one of the two starts talking to us about going out that night, and asks more questions about us. And at this point, my friend and I are exchanging looks. He mentions that he thinks I'm the one in charge because my friend looks young, then proceeds to stroke his hand down her cheek. But wait, it gets better. He then reveals to us that he just did some cocaine and proceeds to offer us some, which we both adamantly decline. At this point, I just wanted him out of my room so we could have a chance to think, and this man did not want to leave. I finally backed him towards the door, but he wouldn't move his body so I could close the door all the way, and kept talking to us, even though I was trying to gently shove him out. I finally got the door closed, and then used my body to hold it shut. At this point, my friend had tried to call the owner multiple times to no avail, so we decided to book another hostel and leave. We waited until we heard the guys leave and booked it out of there to our new hostel, and are in the process of getting a refund since we booked and paid the fee online. So creepy hostel men, let's please never meet again. To give some context, I've been homeless with my mom and her emotional support animal for the last few months. When we first became homeless, it was my first year of college. Where I live, college is free for the first 2 years, and my college, after I gave them an explanation, gave me and my mom a hotel room for a few weeks. The hotel room was fine, nothing special, but was probably better than most considering it was like $170 per night. About 2 days into our stay, we went downstairs to do laundry, but the washers in the hotel were too expensive for us, so I texted her and was waiting by it for her to pull up the car. so we could go to the laundromat instead. While I was waiting, I was on my phone, so I didn't notice my mom pull up, and she yelled at me to hurry up and get in the car. While I grabbed the dog and my clothes, I noticed that she was talking to a man 2 doors down from our room. Our room was on the second floor, so I thought it was weird that she started a conversation from the car to someone upstairs. So when I got in the car, I asked her what it was about. She proceeded to tell me that after she yelled at me to hurry up, he responded to her that he'd be down in a minute. So she was explaining to him that she was talking to me. We both thought it was weird that he responded like that to her, but we brushed it off that maybe he was waiting for someone from Uber or something. That was until we got back to see his door slightly open and him just staring out of it with just his face. I tried to brush it off again because I thought maybe he was still waiting for his Uber or Lyft or something, because he had everything in his room turned off and it was still quite cold out in the beginning of spring. I would see this man staring out of his room with all his lights off periodically about half the time I left or was coming back to the room. My mom, who is a heavy smoker, would get scared by the man staring at her and would come back inside the room early. So throughout our stay, we tried our best to avoid the man if we could. If he had his door open, we went back inside. If we went outside or got back from somewhere and he was staring, we would avoid eye contact. A little later that night, I went out to the car for something and saw a couple sitting on the stairs talking about something, but I didn't think much of it. Later that night, it was probably about 3 in the morning. I was gaming with friends and my mom was watching TV. We're both night owls. When all of a sudden our dog starts barking at the door. We thought it was weird since she had never just barked randomly at the door, only really barked when she wanted food we were eating, or when she wanted to play. I grabbed her and put her in my lap, petting her while I played to calm down. Her barking at the door became something she did often during our stay, and it almost was exclusively at night, within the hours of 2 to 7 a.m. We didn't figure out what she was barking at until the end of our stay at that hotel. Our last day there, we saw that couple moving out of the room. Turned out they were right next to us, and my mom got to talking with them while I was putting my stuff in the car. It turned out that the couple was moving rooms because the man from 2 doors down was harassing people, knocking on their doors and singing to women through their doors late at night. Our dog was more than likely barking at this man whenever he approached our room, as one night we were woken by the sounds like a knock before our dog started barking. But by the time I checked the door, there was no one there. He was probably trying to do the similar thing that he had done to this couple, and with him staring out the door, he was more than likely mentally unwell. And while I hope he gets the help he needs, I also hope he doesn't do something potentially harmful to anyone else who ended up in the rooms next to him. This story takes place about 5 days ago. I'm still shaken up over it. I'm a 19-year-old female, and my parents and I packed up our U-Haul and made the long drive to our new home up north from our small and dinky apartments in Central Florida. I can't lie, I was very excited about this move. Attending college in the spring, finally getting to start my dream career. So many other things I couldn't or didn't get to do in Florida. On the first night of our drive, we stopped at a hotel in what appeared to be a shady area. It was kind of scary as it was set up right next to a closed down gas station with boards and graffiti written all over them. From my parents' experience and what I've seen on TV, these aren't the type of places you want to be lurking around in. My dad, who is usually very calm and collected, was on edge the whole night since the door to our room didn't close all the way. We had to prop one of the hotel chairs against it and use the deadbolt to have the slightest bit of comfort. I thought it couldn't get much worse than that, but I was so wrong. The second night, we stopped in a small town in North Carolina. We had our 2 cats with us, so we had to find a hotel that was pet friendly. We came across one of these hotels and booked a room for the night. While my parents were making sure that nothing shifted in the U-Haul, I sat in the passenger seat of my mom's car with my little buddy, trying to calm him down. He seemed a little more agitated than normal. About an hour and a half after pulling into the parking lot, we grabbed the cats and our essentials. Emotions were running high, so we were all on edge of getting to our new home in the next day or two, depending on the amount of sleep we got. We loaded our things into a cart and approached the hotel's side door. My mom pulled out the key card, and it took a while for the door to finally unlock. But the second we heard it click, a woman started yelling at us. We looked up and saw her frantically running towards us. Her voice was frantic. The panic in her voice still sends shivers down my spine every time I think about it. She wore a long, dark blue jacket. Her hair was in a messy ponytail, and it was tucked inside her hoodie. She either looked really tired, like she hadn't slept in a year, or she had gone through something horrible. She was panting, muttering the words, "Call 911, call 911. There's something wrong with my baby." There was no child with her, nor did we see any kids in sight. My initial thought that maybe the kid was near the front of the building and was seriously hurt, or there was a car accident and we were too busy unloading to hear the collision. The woman kept telling us to call 911, but my mom told her that she didn't have her phone on her. I always carry mine, and me being a kind-hearted person I try to be, I offered to call for her. But the moment I pulled out my phone, my dad snatched it out of my hand. The lady then said, "It's really bad. You need to come see." My mom told her that we didn't want to see, and that she should go inside so the lady could go to the front desk to get help. At first, she was screaming, No, I don't need their help. I need your help." But my mom kept insisting that they go inside. At this point, my little buddy was whining and clawing at his pet carrier, trying either to get out or to attack this lady. My boy might look like a sweet fuzzball, but if provoked, he's a scratching machine. The lady took one look at him and attempted to reach for him, saying, Yeah, let's get the babies inside." The way she said that was fucking creepy. This time, it sounded like she was on drugs or had bad intentions. I scooped my cat away before she could touch him, and we led her to the front desk, where she told the hotel worker the same story she told us. The hotel worker tried to calm her down, and while the lady was distracted, my parents and I walked towards the elevator and started to get inside. As I looked back at the lobby, I saw the woman staring at us, her eyes full of anger now. She then started charging at us, and before I even had a chance to react, my mom pushed me and my furry baby into the elevator, them standing in front to protect me. I could see the woman still running towards us as the elevator was closing. I remember the small screen near the elevator in the lobby showing which floor the elevator was heading to. So to stop this crazy lady from harassing us, we pushed all the floor buttons, and we just stopped on every floor. First the second, the third, the fourth, then the fifth. After the fifth floor, we pushed the button back to our original floor and quickly piled into our room. Silence. My heart was pounding the entire time. My body started shaking at what just happened. As I got that cat out of the carrier, I heard my mom and dad talking about the lady. My dad suspected that maybe she had a mental illness or was on drugs, whereas my mom thought she could be a trafficker with the way she was trying to get us to come with her to see the supposed situation. That's when my heart broke. I try so hard to see good in people, but at the same time, I tried to keep the best distance I can. But this was the first time someone ever approached me. I was so gullible to almost believe her story. My guard had slipped. I tried to hold back my guilt and fear as best as I could, but I ended up breaking down. My mom hugged me, saying everything was going to be okay, but no matter how many times she said that, my body continued shaking and my paranoia lasted throughout the night. Even at the slightest creak, I would shoot up from the bed and look at the people thinking that the lady had found us. Luckily, she wasn't there. That night, we all decided that we were going to get up around sunrise and reach our home before nightfall. No more hotel stops, no more creepy people, and no more shady areas. As we checked out the next morning, the same employee from last night was there, and we asked her what happened after we had got into the elevator. The worker told us after that the crazy lady left in a huff, her hands clenched into a fist. But then the worker revealed a detail that my mind keeps going back to. When she turned to go after us, she saw a syringe in the crazy lady's jean pocket. I don't know if she already used it or was planning to use it on me and my family. It makes me wonder what the outcome would have been had my parents not been there, and if I had given the lady my phone instead of offering to call for her. Would she have sold me into trafficking? Would she have robbed us while we were injected with whatever she was on? Anyway, we made it to her home 2 days ago, but the fear of that night still eats away at me. It goes to show no matter how panicked and frightened someone may sound or act, you truly don't know if they're in genuine trouble or if they have bad intentions after gaining a random stranger's trust. Please be careful out there, guys. I, unfortunately, had to learn it the hard way that not everyone in this world is a good person. I'm just happy to still be alive and safe. I hope I never see that crazy lady again.